What is up, people? I have my hood on because I have a very massive headache right now, so my head sits underneath. I'll probably move it at some point, just like the light in the room in general. I have to be visible for you guys, as in, like, you have to be able to see. But for right now, it's just working for me. I also cut my hair, by the way. I can show you that real quick. So, but I'm not hiding that. That's just unrelated. But I'll start like this, and it'll probably go away. I took something, so it'll just take some time. You know how it is. Sometimes the work or something could just give me like a massive headache. So we're gonna start with 7.24, which is relatively big update. This changes to most heroes, a couple items, a lot of world changes. I'm just making sure that everything on my end is good, but it looks like it already is. I already checked most of that stuff. My volume is fine. My bot is working. Game's on. Volume is correct on my end because that matters for me. Discord's on. My phone is silent. Yeah, that's everything. Oh, I didn't send my... I already had the message pre-drafted, but I didn't send it, so I'll send it. Let people know we're going to be starting with the 7.24 update. Very important. Perfect. Okay, close that out. Fantastic. Close some windows. Cool. So, heroes now have a dedicated neutral item slot. A maximum of one neutral item can be equipped on your hero. Now, granted, your backpack can still hold a neutral item. So, if I'm anti-mage and I find a trusty shovel, and then I find a Ring of Aquila, I can only use one at once, and it goes into that dedicated slot. But I can swap them freely, backpack to the dedicated slot. Just whatever's in my backpack doesn't work, and you can't put them in your normal inventory. That's the point. So that means that now you can't stack up with, a bunch of late game items or a bunch of strong items. You have to choose, and that's going to give supports more opportunities to get some of these. And there's also a dedicated place in your stash so that people can't steal your neutral items with Smoke and Deceit or something. I probably should have just read that. They're stored there instead of the fountain floor. Right-clicking on it will show you what's available, and it'll show you all the ones that have dropped. Neutral items can be teleported to your neutral item stash, so you don't have to use your courier for it. So you right-click the context menu, and you can just send it back. Now you don't have to walk around the map giving people stuff. You can just let it appear there. Backpack slot count was reduced from 4 to 3. The reason it was 4 is because of neutral items, so it makes sense, and you get it dedicated. So it's basically the same. Neutral item drop count per tier was increased from 3 to 4, and the chance was increased by 1%. Meaning the neutral items will appear more frequently, slightly, and you'll get more per tier, which is a pretty big change. Ancient's neutral drop rates are 3 times higher, and that's 3 times higher 10 versus 3 times higher 9. So it's actually even more than it would seem normally. So it's 30% on a neutral for them to drop an item. Shrines are removed altogether. I'm glad. It's not that I hated shrines, but they made it uneven. It's it's technically mirrored, but it's not. It normally would be mirrored if they were near both safe lanes, but it wasn't like that. They were actually the opposite lane, so it was off lane for Radiant and. Okay, that's kind of bothersome too. I agree with you, Inferry. In the safe lane for Dire, so I'm glad they just removed it because whatever, just get over them. You know what I mean? So I'm glad. Outposts were moved to the primary jungles, and that means that primary jungle is for Radiant, that's bottom, for Dire, that's top. So they give you vision, but it's now reduced to be the same as True Sight, so what it can see, it can also True Sight. They start owned by your team, can be captured at any time. The rewards stop at the same minute mark, but that means they can be captured early. That makes sense to me in Furry. I won't lie. I totally understand. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest with you, about having a different keybind, but I'm sure you can fix it. Yeah, you can rebind it, exactly, with Falcon stuff. I'm sure you can fix that. Adjust the tree layout on the map edges where the previous outposts were so that they're not as open, I guess. Moved a medium camp of the Dire primary jungle to a nearby location just to make space to make it more appropriate. I haven't seen that one. But where the outposts are now, they're actually harder for the enemy team to take without really, going into your area of influence. And it'll also put less stress on the carry who wants to be alone. People won't be trying to rush into the carry's lane for an outpost. Now, granted, they might get the outpost and then kill the carry if he's still around and he'll have to TP out, but you'll have a warning, and they're not going to want to jump into the lane and kill the core, because then everybody knows they're going for the outpost, and they might actually get the chance to TP in to defend the outpost as the rest of the team. Yeah, we'll see them when we go into the game, obviously. Lane bounty runes have been moved to the secondary jungles. I don't actually know exactly where this is, but secondary jungle for Dire is near bottom lane. It would be near their first tower to the left, right around that secret shop area, and it's around the secret shop for Radiant as well. So they're near where the outposts, not where the outposts are, the opposite jungle of the outposts. Yeah, take your time. So I think this is an interesting change. It means that you'll have more of your own runes, because the rune that's over by the side of the lane is still there, so that it will put emphasis on winning your lane a little bit to push in to take the rune easier. But it also means that the other rune is more owned. Oh, sorry, those are the lane ones. The lane ones are taken out. So the ones in the river are still there. The ones that were in the lane to the side are gone. So no emphasis on that. You don't have to like run over to the side and grab a stupid rune, which means for safe laner that's easier. I don't have to like go out of my comfort zone. Instead, one of ours is easier to grab in its top lane, because if we're Radiant, that's the secondary jungle. So you know, they're gonna have the rune for the lane up there, and we'll still have one in river too. So they're actually pretty close, right? Am I crazy, Falcon? I mean, I'll look at it afterward when we get the chance, but both runes are really close together. That's kind of interesting when you think about it. I don't know. Whatever. I'll have to look. Yeah, they're really close. That's what I'm saying. So actually, supports are going to have wars with the offlaners over the runes, because they're both together. They're going to want to charge in and take the other rune and back up into their rune, basically. So there's going to be a big fight over runes, but safe laners won't be there. There's no way, unless you're a really aggressive safe laner like Lifestealer. Removed all GPM talents. I'm so happy about this. I hated GPM talents and I hated experience talents, and they removed XP first, and now they removed GPM, because it's not necessary. It should be consistent across the game. There shouldn't be anybody who gets more than anybody else. It's dumb. Avoid Spirit and Snapfire in Captain's mode. Here, respawn time increased at earlier levels. So people are dead a little longer from levels 1 to 5. And this is really good, because I hate actually making a good play in safe lane, getting a kill with my support, and having them back instantly. So like level 5 is often where this happens for me. So now the difference is actually notable. It's 8 extra seconds. They're not going to be back to lane. And for me, that's huge, because that's 8 more seconds without somebody harassing me. And it actually starts at level 1 with an extra 6, which is dramatic. So that's really nice. Buyback cost was increased. The net worth formula is a little bit kinder, because it's net worth difference. No, it's net worth. I'm sorry. No, it's just more in general. That too. People do suicide towers to respawn, so that's a worse strategy now. Never mind. It's a higher base cost of 100 flat no matter what. And when you take a number like, you know, obviously 1,000 divided by 13 is a smaller number than 1,000 divided by 12, if you know math. So it's actually a bigger base, and it's going to be multiplicatively more as your net worth goes up too. Very expensive to buy back. Courier Death no longer disables your passive gold, so that's nice. That means that couriers do not screw you anymore. The bounty was increased notably. 5 base plus an extra 2 per level on top of that, more than it was. This means that sniping couriers is a bigger deal, but it also means people are using couriers less, because you don't have to ferry neutral items as much, because you can teleport them back. So I like that a lot. I think that's cool. In addition, since they're not related to your golds, it's not as big of a deal if you lose one. The respawn time, it takes 10 seconds longer, which is very sad. They do move a little faster, though. Harder to gank for slow heroes. They can't plant wards or use any items at 25, so they just took all that out because it was stupid. It was nonsense. Custom UI, which is nice. Melee attacks now have 150 range a bonus 150 range against Observer and Sentry wards. So now you don't need to have a Quelling Blade to kill wards. If you're melee, you can just hit them. There's nowhere on the map they should be unhittable. This is so big for melee supports. This is big for melee cores. You're walking in, your support puts down a ward or something, gets ganked. The enemy team doesn't realize they put a ward. It happens. It honestly happens. They were already coming to kill him anyway. And now you see that ward still up, the enemy ward, because you have a sentry up there from your support. You can kill it. You might not have been able to kill it before because maybe you already sold your quelling, or maybe, you know, you're a casting thing and you don't have one, or you're bad and you don't have one. Whatever the case may be, you can still kill it. Tier 5 items now drop at 60 minutes instead of the 70 it was. So they most of the time do. So I think that, you know, this is a big deal because obviously you're looking at this and you're thinking like, oh, you know, neutral items have a bigger part in the game now, which is true, which makes me upset. But I think it's nice because you don't usually see the 70-minute items, so at least you get the chance to experience it. So it's okay. Ironwood Tree now drops the full item rather than the recipe, so you just get it. Stats were reduced by 1, though, making it less efficient as you go through the game, but it's very nice because it's instant. You just have it. Arcane Ring Int was increased by 2. That's really nice for supports or like a core, I guess, like a Silencer or an OD. Better item. Iron Talon no longer has the Quell passive, meaning it doesn't do extra damage to creeps. It just gives you attack speed and armor. They added the attack speed. And has the active of chopping, which does the, you know, reducing health or trees. Mana Regen and Keen Optic was restored to 1.25, which was a couple patches ago. I think they decided that they nerfed it too much, which is really nice. It's also because no shrines. Remember that? A lot of these mana changes are going to be because no shrines. Vision range reduced on Mango Tree pretty notably, but mangoes now fall a little further out. The reason why that is because they don't want it to be as much vision. They want it to be, you know, a little worse on that front. But they also do want to say that if you put it on a cliff, the mangoes will actually fall on the ground. Yeah. So they don't want to be a crazy good warding tool, but they're okay with it being warding in general. So they still do want you to put it on high ground. Block damage on Poorman's Shield got buffed tremendously. This is so huge, it's not even funny. It is one of the best early game jungle items now. It is still good. It's still a good ward. This is so big. This is huge. 30 damage on a hit. Guaranteed blocked every hit. For melee heroes. It's crazy. It's nuts to me. Health reduced in Trusty Shovel, making it worse in general to carry, but good on the team because you want that active. So core really doesn't want to hold this at all. Ocean Heart, they increased the health and mana regen dramatically when you're in the river. I think that's cool. It didn't have enough to be worth it. Dragon Scale Afterburn damage was increased by 50%. That's pretty big for pushing. It's going to be a huge early push item. Clumsinet's cast range was nerfed hugely, but it no longer pierces immunity on yourself, meaning you could be KB and use Clumsinet and have no negative. It's like an Atos, basically. Its range is terrible, so I actually think it's one of the worst items now, but it does have uses. So I would call it a cruddy item, but it's alright. Essence Ring now increases your current and max health directly and is not considered a heal, meaning it doesn't get amplified because there were stupid interactions with it. It does still cancel TPs. I am glad. I think that any kind of interaction with Essence Ring like that was dumb. Vambrace now drops the full item, so you don't have to have the previous bracers or, you know, Wraith Bands or Null Talismans, which is awesome. Can now be toggled between the different attributes, meaning that you can give it to a support and they'll change to what they want. But they did nerf the stats a little bit, so this is nice. And it actually incentivizes cores to not buy 2 Wraith Bands. You should only buy 1, because before it was like, oh, you have 2, you can get a Vambrace, you'll have it instantly, which is really cool. Now that Vambrace doesn't combine with them, you'll have a slot efficiency problem very quickly if it falls. So you're going to be like, oh, crud, I don't actually want the Vambrace as much. But if you only buy 1 Wraith Band or something, well, now it's a little bit more tempting. Spell Lifesteal was reduced on Vampire Fangs because the Spell Lifesteal part shouldn't be huge anyway. Good. Enchanted Quiver got its magic damage increased again by 30. And it fixed a bug. This is so big. This is such a good item, honestly. It's such a good tier 3 item. Slow reduced in Orbit Destruction because it was way too strong. Good. I hated it when like an Ursa or somebody would chase me down. Craggy Coat armor was reduced by 1. That's minor. The silence duration on Mindbreaker was reduced dramatically, actually. 0.5 seconds is a huge deal. Yeah, that too. I agree with you, Falcon, because now you don't have to have bracers necessarily if you don't want them. If you're not the kind of support who would appreciate a bracer, and you can switch it. You can actually tread switch with Van Brace now. So you're about to cast a spell, you switch to int real quick. You're going to take some hits, you switch to strength, whatever you need to do at that moment. It allows basically tread switching, but with the Van Brace. Which is obviously huge, because switching anything to mana when you cast gives you so much more mana for your efficiency. Like, tread switching is so important, thus Van Brace switching will be important too. This is huge on Mindbreaker. I think it's a huge nerf. I'm still talking. Sorry, guys. You can stick around for a second. I'll be done soon. Telescope. Attack range bonus reduced by 25. That's nice. I think that the attack range was too much. Building repair kit no longer has multi-shot. Thank goodness, because I hated it when someone would fortify. You have the multi-shot, kill all the creeps, and then a couple would live, and then they do repair kit to multi-shot the rest of them. Very frustrating. But the health regen was increased dramatically, so it does actually heal the tower. Havoc Hammer base damage was increased by 50. This means Havoc Hammer actually does damage. So that's kind of nice. Flicker movement speed was increased by 10 because people don't like this item. It does have uses, but I think they just wanted to make it like overall feel better. You're fast now. Magic Lamp's health threshold hits 5% earlier. That's good because you want Lamp to trigger and you get away without being about to die. So being that it triggers a little earlier means that you'll have a little bit more health and maybe able to reinitiate at a good time versus like I'm about to die regardless. Apex changed to a fixed plus 75 attribute instead of percentage because percentages are annoying because you could hate this item because all your heroes are low attribute heroes and they're more about their abilities and you're like, oh, Apex is useless. But now that it's a fixed amount, it's always good. It might hurt you if you were like a silencer or somebody who had crazy int and the percentage might have been more before. I haven't done the math, but or Podge with strength, but like whatever, like screw it. It should be fixed. Fusion Rune has been removed because it was stupid. I think they're removing a lot of the one-use items, to be honest with you. I agree. Well, right. I hated Fusion Rune. It was stupid, even though I never saw it. Ballista attack range was reduced by 150, but it now deals 30 pure damage. I mean, ow. It's really good for damage, but it doesn't give you the crazy attack range. Because someone like a sniper or a drow with this, the game's over. And I mean that. Like, I actually mean that. That's crazy range. That's nuts. So I'm glad it's less range. I'd rather them be closer and more able to be initiated on versus I don't care if they do more damage. Force Boots, cooldown was increased. Movement speed was decreased. The push distance was reduced, but it happens faster. That's just overall nerfs because they're too good. Ex Machina. Resets item cooldowns increased from 30 to 45 seconds, meaning the cooldown. Armor was reduced by 5, and now has a mana cost, so you can't use it all the time. Mirror Shield, the cooldown was increased by 4, so it's doubled, because it was way too good against targeted disables. Like, if you had, like, a Shadow Shaman and, like, a Lion against you, like, Mirror Shield was just like, okay, your first spell literally immediately stuns you, so you can't cast your second. So it was a hard, and then the other person has to do it immediately because that's a 4-second cooldown. Power Attack's attack speed was nerfed dramatically. It no longer drops a bounty rune. I don't know who this is. No longer drops a bounty rune. Instead, it steals gold when you kill them. I hate that. I hate it, but I hated the bounty rune too. So, whatever. Seer Stone cast and vision range reduced by 100. Good. Phoenix Ash, which is another consumable, removed. Thank you. Stygian Desolator, the damage was reduced dramatically. The armor reduction was reduced. The armor reduction duration was reduced, so just overall nerfed. Woodland Striders, health was nerfed. Tree duration was nerfed dramatically. Good. And all these items need to nerf since because they come 10 minutes earlier. Fallen Sky now has the same blink rules with regards to damage. Now drops the full item rather than a recipe. It's nice that you don't need a recipe. So it's instead of a blink. So you don't need to have a blink to have Fallen Sky. So you just pick that up, and that's really wicked sick. Oh, too bad. We're already full anyway. I think Fallen Sky is cool, but it's good. I don't know. It's nice to change it. Trident, all bonuses reduced by 3. That is actually dramatic, but not... It doesn't make it a bad item. It's still freaking nuts. Book of the Dead, instead of having 3 sets of Necro units, it's 2, but with 50% more health and damage, which is actually probably better. But the strength didn't were reduced, so that sucks. Mangoes! Here's some real items that are changed. Items that already existed. Mangoes, mana restore reduced by 15. That's notable, actually. Mangoes are just not as good anymore. They're still okay, but they're not great. I already knew about this one. Quantum Blade no longer kills wards. You have to actually attack them. That's why melee heroes can attack them. I already knew this. Same for Iron Talon and Battle Fury. Tango no longer kills wards. So you can't eat a ward for a double health. You have to eat a Iron Branch if that's what you want to do. Vlad's mana regen was reduced. Voidstone mana regen was increased. Perseverance mana regen was increased commensurately. A lot of this is because of the change to shrines. Battle Fury damage increased from 54 to 60. And note, Battle Fury did not get the change of mana from Voidstone and Perseverance, meaning that even though they were buffed by themselves, it didn't change the outcome at the end, which is interesting if you buy Battle Fury. The damage was increased by 6. The cleave damage against heroes was increased by 10%, meaning it's a much better fighting item. However, the creep damage from cleave was decreased by 10. So it's harder to cleave through creeps and clear waves and farm by a little bit, but the 6 damage probably offsets that anyway, let alone the fact that it's just better for fighting overall. So I'd say the item was buffed. Barely. Maelstrom, chain lightning damage reduced by 10. It's minor. Mjolnir already has higher damage. Necro, mana regen was increased. That's nice. Deso, armor reduction duration was decreased, so you don't have the debuff for as long. Thank goodness. Radiance damage was reduced by 5, making it a worse farming and fighting item by a little bit. Blade Mail does more damage. Silver Edge does more damage. Mask of Madness does more damage. Armlet does more damage. Crystallis does more damage. However, the crit was nerfed. This is a consistent thing Dota's been doing. They've been trying to pull crits back so that the proc is less important, but the base is good. So I think the damage probably does work out. I haven't done the math, but because of the increase of 7 but decrease to 15%, you're probably looking at a similar damage output unless you had crazy base damage to begin with, in which case it's a nerf. So it's probably overall a nerf. Daedalus had a similar change, increased damage by 8 but decreased to 15% strike. Bloodthorn got an increase of damage. Critical strike was reduced. The Soul Ring critical strike was also reduced. So they're just kind of hurting crits in general. Alright, here are the hero changes, which is obviously the end of the patch in general. I think we can queue. Because I can do a little bit during the ban and pick phase too. Okie dokie. I'm actually...
a lot of these.
Yeah, I'd make this a different video, but screw it. Unless I get the chance.
Have fun with a puck if you can ever get to level 25 for them.
Base damage reduced by 2 on Abaddon. Mistcoil cooldown was increased. He needed it. He's very strong. Alchemist strength gain was increased. I think it was hard for him to get momentum in a lot of higher skill games, so it's good. Ice Blast got buffed tremendously on the percentage by 2 at all levels. That's huge. Everybody's going to get a new talent instead of gold, so instead now he has 175 Chilling Touch attack range, which is actually really big. Axe is faster. Strength gain is more, making him a better hero. Bounty Armor got armor. Brewmaster got armor. This is just a better laning phase for them. Chaos Knight, Reality Rift armor reduction was increased by 1 at all levels, meaning that it hurts more to get the armor shred. Phantasm incoming damage was reduced by 25, meaning it's harder to kill the phantasms. And now instead of the gold, has the 10-second phantasm duration, making phantasm last longer. Instead of lasting 30, it lasts 40. The problem is, are they going to live for 40 seconds? I don't know. Chen now has negative 30-second Hand of God cooldown, which is huge. Clink's Burning Army base damage was increased to its maximum at all levels. Crystal Maiden now has a negative 2 Crystal Nova cooldown, which is huge because it's such a low cooldown anyway. She can spam a slow. Darkseer, they've been changing Surge for a long time. It now always does the max speed. They've done this a couple times back and forth. Reality of Pierce Spell Immunity is great, but only if they're BKB League teams. That's fair. They've been going back and forth. So now Surge does the max movement speed again. However, its duration is wicked low to start. Oh, good. Coordinator. That'll give me some time. Dark Willow now has extra Bedlam damage, which is huge. It makes the magic, like the Veil Dark Willow or Kaya Dark Willow, more viable. Death Prophet, huge buffs. Base armor increased for trading in mid. Base movement speed increased by 5 for trading in mid. For fighting, Spirit Siphon charge restore time was reduced notably. Like, notably. So the Spirit Siphons are going to come back really fast. I think Death Prophet is going to be, like, the sleeper this patch. I haven't heard anybody talk about Death Prophet yet, but, like, Death Prophet's going to be nasty. Disruptor Thunderstrike costs more as you level. Stack Swarm no longer increases with Ags. So it's the same duration even with Ags. And added a talent with Kinetic Field grants True Sight. I love that. That's such a good ability. That's such a good counter to like Ricky and Bounty Hunter and stuff, which is one of Disruptor's problems because he buys a Force Staff and that's all he has. Yeah, I know, right? Sorry. Strength gain reduced by 0.3 on Doom. He's just too tanky. Scorched Earth gives less movement speed because he's just too good, at least early. Devour HP regen was reduced at all levels because he's too tanky. Sensing a pattern here. Screw Doom. Dragonite is faster. Base. Lost a little bit of speed when he ults, but overall is still faster when he ults. I lol. Well played, Furry. Drow Ranger multi-shot damage was reduced a little bit, 5%. It was needed, to be honest with you. Multi-shot's too good. Earth Spirit, you're gonna. I know you love this one, Falcon. Stone Remnant charge replenish time was reduced by 5, meaning you can get more remnants out, meaning you can do combos better. And instead of the gold, now has 3.5 second Geomantic Grip silence. That's nuts. What a crazy silence. What a crazy silence. That's so big. It's now a, I want to say it's a 5.5 second. I forget how long it is. It's huge. Malefice damage was increased a little bit at the late game, and a talent to make it even better. Yeah, it's crazy. Grimstroke, base int increased. Now is Inkswell max damage, which is minor. Cast range was buffed at 15. Spell amp was buffed at 15. So just a little up to Grimstroke in that mid game. IO overcharge heal was reduced notably. Overcharge cooldown was increased at earlier levels. Instead of gold, now has 400 spirits max distance. IO needed the gold to carry effectively, but this actually is better for a support probably because you can help carries catch. 7. Oh my gosh. So I'm glad that I was getting nerfed. Dual Breath now does its first damage instance immediately. All the Jakira's mains out there are going to be happy because you can cancel blinks. And now has a talent for extra Dual Breath range, which is interesting to say the least. I don't know how that'll come up, but Jug, because he's been out of the meta, got a base damage increase of 4, which is dramatic on a hero who has a crit build in. That's huge. Because that'll be 8 whenever he hits you with the crit, obviously. Base movement speed was increased by 5, making it easier for him to catch when he's Blade Furying. Also makes it easier for him to poke in and out with a wave and not die. Really big for Jug. Lich, base damage was reduced by 2, making it worse trading in lane. Frostblast Minacross is increased at all levels, making it harder to spam. Sinister Gaze duration was reduced slightly, making it worse in lane and fighting. He was just too strong. I support this. Lion now has a crazy mana drain talent at 15, making him literally instantly zero out any hero he mana drains. I don't get it. It's crazy. Lunar Blessing now affects base armor instead of total armor, meaning that it gives you less armor overall, you and allied heroes. The Blessing does have a higher percentage, but that doesn't matter. It will never balance out with the fact that it doesn't include total armor. So it's just try to a little balance, but it'll still be less. Now, I saw the video. Base int increased by 4 on Lycan. I guess he has trouble casting. That's fine. Shapeshift transformation is faster, meaning it's easier for him to shapeshift and get away. That's annoying. Magnus got a max damage reduced by 4, meaning his minimum is still the same, but he can't get as high, so he's more likely to get into a consistent amount of damage. And Power Cleave was reduced notably 5 at all levels, and he lost some of his attack speed talent, so he's just worse as a right clicker himself. He's better as like a offlaner to support your team. Mars gets more strength. God's Rebuke slow duration was increased. God Rebuke hero damage increased. So they're just trying to buff Mars because he's just kind of in a weird spot. So just giving him a little more damage, a little bit more strength. Medusa's int gain was increased dramatically, making her have a significantly larger mana pool, making it easier to spam in lane, easier to support shield in jungle, and easier to deal with people with like a diffusal. And Stone Gaze speed bonus was increased dramatically. I'm sure it can in Furry. I think that this is huge. Now Medusa can move around and get crazy right clicks off during her ult because you don't want to look at her because you get the amp on, but you can't really run away either. So it's just a really good ult. Nyx, Vendetta bonus damage changed from physical to pure. This is one of the biggest changes in the patch because that's a lot of damage. It did reduce the damage slightly at the end, but that doesn't matter. It is so much effing damage. Like, it is so much effing damage. Nyx will instantly kill you now. They changed his talent to be more stun. Yeah, I don't want to be anywhere near a Nyx now as a safe laner because he'll kill me.
Funny enough, I saw a thing about the Nyx Impale stun duration. If you do time it right, Purge is doing some of this. You can theoretically hit them with a meteor hammer, and just kind of super stun them.
Solid. Ogre now has extra ignite DPS, which is nice. Armor lost the Omni Knight lost armor. He lost some strength gain. Purification cooldown is worse. He did get Heavenly Grace HP regen at 10, which is kind of nice, but he needed the money to be a 3 effectively. And this is really hurting his lane. It's really easy to push him out of lane now. He does still have, obviously, Purification and Heavenly Grace to keep him alive, but it's harder now because the trading is worse. Oracle got a negative 1 second of Purifying Flames cooldown at 15, which means he just spams it like crazy. Honestly, that's nuts to me, but okay. Pango, Shield Crash casts in place when rooted, meaning you can still cast it, which is nice when you have Ags. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, that's nuts. PA got a base damage increase of 3, which of course she crits for 4.5 times. So if you do some math there, that's 12 plus 1.5 is 13.5 more damage on a crit, as an example. It's better for laning. It also affects her daggers. It's a big deal. PL was too strong. They nerfed his health talent. They nerfed his doppelganger cooldown talent. Thank you. This is what I care about. Doppelganger cooldown is all that matters. And nothing else matters. That's all I care about. Phoenix, attack range increased by 25. Way better for mid lane. Way better for off lane. Base health regen increased by 0.5. Huge. Huge for trading. And instead of gold, it gets an Icarus dive slow. It's okay. Puck, base damage reduced by 3. It was needed. Instead of gold at 25, now has a Waning Rift AoE in range. That means the Waning Rift will hit everything with a silence and can basically do it. It's basically a blink dagger when you use Waning Rift. You just get a blink dagger on your.
It's
on
not that strong, I don't think yet. Also,
it's basically a blink dagger, Thor. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
it's not an exaggeration.
It's not that far, but
it's almost that far.
Well, you kind of do it in the center. I was watching Purge do it. He said, I think it might be glitched from what he saw because the range didn't get increased for the time being, so it might be glitched out.
Yeah, answer to Thor as well. It's blink with damage and silence. He capitalized. Accurate.
You might be able to go.
And Puck will still buy a blink dagger.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't you? Exactly, Thor. That's the question. Why wouldn't you?
You just. Also,
you could actually get away without a. The problem is that you don't get to 25. If you got this earlier, you'd see Pucks running without a blink dagger, but you still need one. You need one before.
But with how big the AoE is, which it's freaking huge, and if the actual range gets increased correctly, like, because it seems like it's glitched out at the moment.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they already fixed it at this point because they had an update today.
Like full half screen, like blink into a group of people and just go, no, never gonna ever cast anything ever again. Nope.
Pudge, dismember tick rate was changed to be more frequent. The damage is the same, but if you stun Pudge, you'll probably have done a little bit more damage just because he might have ticked an additional time. Instead of gold, has an extra dismember duration. That's minor. Base agility increased by 8. On Pugna, that's gigantic. That's attack speed. That's armor. That's move speed. Huge buff for Pugna. Quap, int game was increased. Sonic wave damage was increased, which is strange to me, but I'll take it. That also means extra spell amp because of the int. So, Arcane Supremacy debuff amp was reduced because Rubik is too strong. Shadow Demon Demonic Purge damage was increased by 50 at all levels. It's pretty big. We're waiting on you, Thor.
In offline mode, should I be?
No. If you're not back, that's fine. We are, but you don't. If you're not back, then just wait. Silencer instead of gold has 12% arcane curse slow, meaning he chases you down and slaughters you. I mean, that's pretty strong actually. Skywrath now has stupid talent at 25. I better not be in the game against a 25, level 25 Skywrath. Instead of gold, it's Arcane Bolt pierces spell immunity. And at 25, it does like 700 damage per. And no cooldown.
That's a nice Black King bar you got there. It'd be a shame if somebody was to pierce it with a bunch of bolts that do a shit ton of damage.
I hate this. I hate this. I hope they change it. Slardar. Of course he's buffed. Why not? Base movement speed increased by 10, so he just chases you down. And they did nerf the early game bash, but whatever. It's still the same at the end. I don't care. I hate him. Slark, Pound Scepter replenish time was increased so that it's always 10, so it can never get below 10. Which is nice, but it is better earlier. You'll never have it before you have levels of Pounds, though. Pound Scepter range was reduced by 200. That is nice, though. He can't get you as much from the end. Attack speed talent was reduced. Snapfire is now in Captain's mode. Base damage reduced by 4, which I don't care, because she does fixed damage with her ability. Fire Snap Cookie just got a bug fix. Tell us when you're back, Thor, by the way.
It's still saying offline mode.
You can restart. That might help you, although it'll take you a year. But base health regen increased on Spectre from 0 to 1.5. That's a huge benefit to Spectre's laning. I might actually play Spectre again. The big problem with Spectre is getting in the lane because she's one of the worst laners in the whole game. So now that Spectre can actually lane a little, it might change things. Maybe. Yeah, it's a huge nerf. Nerfed in general. Bulldoze cooldown was reduced, making it better as you level, which is nice. I think Spearpicker needed it. Stormhammer damage was increased notably early, but it's the same late. Warcry gives Spend more movement speed. The cooldown was reduced. What'd you say, Thor?
I think I'm back. It seems to say not online. I'm pretty sure I'm still in your party, too.
Techies Blast Off, self-damage, changed from pure to magical, meaning it's harder to predict if it'll kill you. Change talent to negative 28%, negative 28 second blast off, making techies better in the late game, actually. Big silence, big damage. It's huge.
Yep.
Terrorblade movement speed increased by 5. Reflection slow increased, making it easier for Terrorblade to chase you. It's actually that he's brutal in lane now when he uses meta because he's so fast. Tide Hunter base int increased by 2, making it easier to cast. I don't think he needed that. Tinker, instead of gold, gets March of the Machine duration. I don't think Tinker will take that, but it's just asking to get blade mailed. Just think about that. It lasts longer, meaning that you don't need to cast as many before someone blade mail kills you. So I think this is a mistake. Tiny, avalanche duration was reduced notably. F you, Tiny. Tramp Protector, less strength. Nature's Grasp costs more early. Living Armor was reduced at late levels. Better early. Troll min base damage increased by 4, meaning it's not as random. It's a much more condensed amount, which actually increases the damage on average. The opposite of what happened to our other hero near the top. I love this. I think this is great. Tusk, base health regen increased by 0.5, making him better at trading in lane. He needed that. I think the Walrus Punch stun duration at 0.5 seconds is fine. It's 10. That's a pretty big stun. Underlord. Less atrophy aura on the talent. Cast range increased. Attack speed reduced, making it a less right-clicking hero, but still can do it. A little bit better on the casting. I'd like that. That's really nice for a supporting role. Fixed Helm of the Dom, not working on zombies. You can steal zombies now. Zombie damage talent is now base damage, which means that it gets amplified in different ways. Tombstone Deathlust health threshold is now always 40, so it's consistent. Movement speed bonus has to scale up to 50, which is a nerf. The attack speed value has to scale up, but it gets better at level 4 Tombstone, which is kind of nice. This is the big one. Flesh Golem debuff duration was increased. The Flesh Golem duration increased by 10. That's dramatic. And it now grants 30 movement speed, so when dying unloads on you. This is a huge change. So it's unfortunate to see some of the nerfs up here, but that Flesh Golem buffs, they're so good.
Oh, hey, the Tombstone thing's kind of big with the Dominator working on zombies, from what I can tell, because
they're only zombies.
The Dominator increases their speed now. Along with drums, you can make them melt people with the Tombstone.
Yeah, but you can't dominate a creep that already belongs to a hero. You have to do it on an enemy. So
no, I'm talking about the aura boost wasn't working on them either with the helm. So that's, I think, been...
Oh, I get what you mean. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so now they're super fast, so if you do it right, you can melt people, because with the Flesh Golem thing, it makes them do more damage to the heroes affected by it.
I get it. There's a lot of combos in that. Venno, instead of gold, has 15-second Plague Ward duration. Shoot me now. Visage Soul Assumption Gather damage threshold was reduced. They keep doing this to make it easier to get stacks of Soul Assumption. The mana cost went down. It's now pretty static. Void Spirits added. No changes. Warlock Shadow Word cooldown was reduced from 16 to 14. That's a unfortunate buff. The Swarm attack rate was improved. They attack more frequently. Base strength on Wyvern was reduced. I will actually restart this video before we actually play, by the way. I'll play core, just so we're all clear. Hasn't loaded in for me. Is it loaded in for anybody else yet?
Yeah, I'm loaded.
All I see is the colors for people, but I haven't seen the heroes. Can you see the heroes?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see.
It's already in pick.
Got it.
What do you
Do
want
we
to
want
play,
a
by the
witch
way,
doctor
Curtis?
or a lion?
I'm core.
Your core, yeah?
What do you want then?
I don't care. Figure it out.
Which core?
Safe lane.
Witch doctor's pretty fun if you see his thing.
Alright, take your most time as possible, by the way, to pick.
I'll be back quickly.
Yeah.
I know. Take your time.
I do
Cool,
appreciate
you're
the time,
picking
though.
next, I think.
Yep.
Loading, loading, loading. Still loading. Finishing loading. I was so close to the end of the patch.
So we got an evil Rubik player, we got a Fudgy Wudgy, we got a Doodle Dip, we got a Squishy Witch, and we got a Ugandan Pangolier.
I bet he's gonna pick Pangolier.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Sure,
Wow.
turn in just a second.
I won't pick Spectre. I'm just thinking.
They already picked Slop, and that's the moth.
Yeah, that's why I won't pick Spectre. Base strength reduced on Winter Wyvern. Cold Embrace percentage heal was reduced percentage-wise, but the base was increased, so it's better for like low health heroes now. Talent to make it to go back to being normal, percentage-wise. Witch Doctor got some armor and got a Maledict AoE, which Thor needs desperately because he always misses Maledicts. So I'm gonna end this video real quick and then restart it for those of you on Twitch. The reason I'm ending it is because I just want the video to be up there just for the patch notes. So I'll